Hello guys and welcome to another video. This might shock some of you, but I generally enjoyed the Percy Jackson TV show adaptation. I thought it was fun. Was it the best adaptation in the world? No. Was it the best TV show in the world? Also no. Was it still fun and enjoyable? Yes it was, and we have to keep in mind it's the first season, so I do think it was also full of potential. However, I know that there's a lot of people in this world, both inside and outside the fandom, that did not like the show at all. And when I say at all, I mean at all. Like, they have made it their life's mission to on this show. So today I thought it'd be a fun idea to go on the internet and search for those people, to look up their reviews of the show and to see if they actually have something good to contribute to the discussion about the Percy Jackson TV show. So without further ado, let's look at those terrible reviews. And I feel like I need to point out that the Percy Jackson TV show has a 7.1 rating out of 10. Pretty good. So keeping that percentage in mind, let's look at the 1-star reviews. A meh series. I wanted so badly to like it, but it's impossible. It feels like everything's off. Unfortunately, in the last few years, every show where Disney is involved in is horrible. So sad this is no exception. Disney used to be a reference to great movies and shows. They have a little bit of a point there. Disney is not putting out great material right now. They are cranking out too many TV shows and movies. Nothing is original. They're not paying their artists enough. It's safe to say that this commenter is right so far. Disney has gone downhill in quality. But let's keep reading. The worst about the series is the storyline. Boring, uninteresting, dialogues that don't go anywhere. You can't empathize to any of the characters. The show lacks good directing. Normally, when many things aren't good, it's mostly bad directing. And okay. Again, prefacing this by saying that I really enjoyed the show. I did think that the directing was one of the things that could be much better in later seasons. I just wasn't really that big of a fan of the directing in general. Hate to say it, but I agree on this point. I wouldn't say it was terrible. It just pulled me out at some points, and the editing as well. I just think that it's something that could be done much better. So I'm just looking forward to season 2 and having some different directors there. But I wouldn't call it terrible. Not great either. It's not good when at the end of each episode you don't feel you want to see more. I disagree with that. I mean, no, technically I agree, but I don't think this applies to the Percy Jackson show, because every time the episode was ending, you just knew it was coming. The music was crescendoing, the credits were about to show up on screen. You just knew what was about to end. I was like, under 30 minutes of content. I need more. And it always ended in like the most fun, important part of the episode. So I was like, It was frustrating to say the least. So I can't say I agree. The action scenes are so rushed. It looks as if it was too easy for our supposedly heroes to survive. Why is this person making so much sense? Because I agree, that's one of the things that I've always said, like, action is lacking in the Percy Jackson TV show. I feel like they win too easily because they just always know. They always know. They never fall into any traps. You never get the feeling that they're in any real danger ever. Is this me? Did I read this? This series really can't be any worse than it is. I'm so disappointed. I understand, but you don't understand. It could be so much worse than it is. It has been so much worse than it is.
Grover, Percy. Hey. Why are you wearing a dress? I'm having a really bad day. Hey. Do not let that go viral.
Sorry, there's just no way the other kids would believe me otherwise.
Look.
So I feel like you just need to give it another shot, because what I see when I look at this series is something fun for the whole family, first of all, and something that has a lot of heart and a lot of potential. So I see a diamond in the rough. I'm trying to be really optimistic about this show, just because it's the only thing we got, people. It's either that or pretending it doesn't exist. So I'm just going with the flow. I'm rolling with the punches, and I know it's not a perfect TV show, but it's what we have, and it's what we're going to have, because we're for sure not getting anything else after this. So I'm just choosing to see the glass half full. And that's never been me, but right now I'm enjoying it, because I know there's a version of me without this character development that's just hating everything that's going on and posting like terrible posts on Tumblr. But that's not me now, and I'm so happy that's not it. This is not the same Percy that is in the books. Whoa, I thought that was it, but there's so many paragraphs. I couldn't care less about the difference in how the characters look in the show versus in the books, but I can immensely that Percy's character just doesn't feel like Percy. In the books, he's snarky and quick-witted, and he possesses this childless confidence where he believes he can take on the world. I don't feel like any of that comes across in the show. A couple examples. I love it when people add examples. In the show, he's simply not funny or witty at all. I can't think of a single thing he said that made me laugh. Grover, why is there a goat in your pants? I cackled. His sarcastic commentary made me laugh so much as a kid, and it is sorely missed.
She fought valiantly, and she met a hero's fate.
She met a pinecone's fate.
One of the good points that other people have made is that most of those snarky comments and Percy's commentary is internal monologue. So that is very hard to translate into a show, which is why I believe that Percy Jackson would have been a really good adaptation if it had been animated. Animated characters can be very, very expressive without it coming off as weird. Like if a character started doing like this in live action, that's normal in cartoons. So it would have been so good, and I feel like even you could have done narration without it being tacky. Or it even could have been like Across the Spider-Verse when they're narrating and you have like the comic box here where it's with the dialogue written there. I think that would have been a lot of fun.
Play dumb.
Bruh.
Not that dumb.
So yes, Percy Jackson should have been animated, but although this is a good point, we were missing some of the humor. A lot of it is in Percy's brain, so it's hard to do with that narration. In the show, he doesn't stand up to Gabe. Instead, Sally does. I do agree. This is one of the things that I was missing for Sally's character. Seeing that a lot of people love her character either ways in the show, I'm very surprised that they didn't decide to give this to her as her character development, and instead chose to give us random flashbacks of her and Poseidon, which I'm sorry, I did not need. Wait, I misinterpreted this. This is a big flip of the power dynamic in the books where Percy naively believes that he can solve his mother's problems for her when the reality is that she's sacrificing everything for his sake. Okay, fair point, but at the same time, they should have allowed Sally to do something about Gabe, but at the same time, Gabe wasn't nearly as bad as he was in the books or in the movie. He was like not a great person.
Sally! More beer! Can't you see she's servicing me and my friends?
Welcome home, genius. So what'd you get kicked out for?
I have a job. What does it look like I'm doing right now?
I don't know where your mom is. I'm not Nostradamus.
Why exactly am I okay with this?
Because on my way home, I'm gonna stop at D'Angelo's and pick up sandwiches and come for tip. But if you make this miserable, I'm gonna go anyway, and then I'm gonna eat my sandwich and yours.
But at the same time, he didn't abuse either of them. I know the bar is super low, but I don't think this version of Gabe deserved to die, basically. New fans, read the books. I agree, everyone should read the books. Okay, so far, so good. Then they're listing everything that's wrong with every single character, and it says, Annabeth, the geeky, silly Annabeth, who looks like a dumb blonde stereotype but is smarter than everyone else, is just an ever-serious girl boss. Skipping over that dumb blonde thing because that's literally a throwaway line mentioned in one book. Also, I think they've given the dumb blonde stereotype to Percy, and I love that. But geeky, silly Annabeth, would anyone who's read the books truly describe Annabeth as geeky, silly? I mean, you could, but would those really be her defining characteristics? Try to tell me that you've read the first 5 books and you're like, yes, Annabeth, who is geeky and silly. No, Annabeth, who is stubborn and proud and fierce and a great friend, but also very pig-headed, also finds it very hard to bend. But at the same time is very funny and witty and smart and very, very caring for her friends. Yes, she is silly and geek, but not geeky. She's more of a nerd than a geek. I don't know if Annabeth does a lot of pop culture. I mean, I know she doesn't. So first of all, those aren't Annabeth's top adjectives. But on top of that, she is silly and geeky in the show. Have you not seen the episode where they go to Wonderland? Percy is about to die and Annabeth is just admiring the architecture and the handiwork of the trap that Percy is currently trapped in. And she's also doing like puns. Why would God build an amusement park? Because he found it amusing? What else do you want for her? She's a kid, she's silly, she's goofy, she just doesn't show it as much. Is she a serious girl boss at times? Yes, but the girl's got layers. So while she does come off as a girl boss at the beginning, it's because that's the image that she's projecting to Percy. Once she finds herself being more comfortable around him, she can be more of a dumb kid with him. Okay, what the hell? I just read Grover, the selfless Grover, Percy's best friend, has no chemistry with Percy. I completely disagree. Maybe it didn't come off as much in the show, but have you seen the interviews of the main trio? They're so cute. They're just like cute as I just want to. Specifically, Percy and Grover, you can tell that those actors are actual real life friends. So you can't tell me that they have no chemistry because they're oozing with friendship, broship chemistry. And even in the show, I would say, and I haven't watched it in 4 months, I thought that the trio had really good chemistry as a whole, but specifically Percy and Grover, so this I just do not vibe with. I love how people feel so personally betrayed by Rick Riordan. Like, he was promising to make such a faithful adaptation, and now that you don't consider it as faithful as he said it would be, you're like,
Oh, I can't believe you've
done this. I feel horrible for the excited actors that just wanted to play a role in a franchise they like. I feel betrayed by Rick as a long-term fan who was lied to my face. If that is his version of an accurate book adaptation, then we must have read different books, and it's so weird to say so about the guy who wrote them. I would partially agree. I did expect the show to be more faithful, like chapter by chapter, to the book, but it's faithful to the message and to the vibe, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Why is everyone giving this show praise? The acting is bad. The actors they use for Grover and Percy have great chemistry off screen, and somehow they found a way to screw that up. Everyone's complaint with the movies were the changes from the book, yet this show makes the same amount of changes even though they have more time than the movie. They take out key developmental plots that really drive home the connection in the books. Honestly, why use the time to build this world, create solid descriptions of places, events, and characters if you're just going to throw them out the window when it comes time to bring them to life? Considering the author was a part of the process, it is very disappointing. If there's a season 2, I don't know if I can stomach watching it. Interesting points. I do think the acting could have been better, but I've seen what the actors have done before and since, so I have faith. As I said, this to me really is a diamond in the rough because I think there's really like a very good chance that future seasons can be great. This can achieve greatness. It just hasn't gotten there, but it truly feels like it has all that potential to me. And the actors do have a lot of great chemistry, so I think maybe like a different acting coach might be worth investing in. Horrible. Another Disney failure. Actually, it isn't because it got renewed for a second season and it's been a great success on Disney+. Terrible acting, horrible special effects, jumbled a back and forth storyline. Actually, I think the storyline was pretty straightforward except that episode with the flashbacks. Only reason I give it 1 star is because we can't rate it any lower. Damn. Disney has taken very good actors and ruined their careers, or at least their credibility as actors. They use the young actors to become internet influencers to hype a garbage movie. Okay, I think you mean show. They should quit while they're ahead. 2 more seasons of this tripe, not for me. What do you mean 2 more seasons? It's only been renewed for 1 more. If you know something I don't know, let me know. They're so cheap on special effects. They film most everything in the dark to hide the fact. The reason I started watching is because of Walker, who was a great actor, but now his acting and emotional facial expressions are not to be found. That's what I said. I think he could work with a better or just different acting coach. It's like they are being paid to be dull, emotionless, and basically boring. Follow the series since it was announced. Same bestie. I don't understand how this series was greenlit at that state. Like, come on, no surprise whatsoever. The kids just knew every monster's name as it came on screen. I have to agree with you on that one. The monsters weren't in there for very much, true. Heck, he didn't even get to see Medusa's face for more like than 2 minutes. The acting wasn't very good either. Like, I don't know if it was a director's call or not, but the girl who played Annabeth paused between sentences as if trying to build drama around what she was going to say. Like, even Talia in episode 3. And there were so many more examples. The kid who played Grover and Hades were the best, in my opinion. I think that one of the best performances was Grover's. Hades, he didn't stand out to me. He was very fruity, but that was pretty much it. And also, I don't know if you know this, but the guy who said before that they ruined like the kids' careers, Annabeth's actress Leah just won an award for the show. So I don't think her career is ruined. Overall, I have been following this show since it was announced, and I was super hopeful when Rick announced he was involved. But bad casting, bad dialogue, and bad directing are enough to ruin any show. If we do get a second season, I hope they replace the creative team. I don't think they're going to do that because, as I said before, this show was a success. Even if there was a lot of people who didn't like it, there was a lot of people in general who watched it, and there was a lot of those people who watched it that did like it. This is profitable, which means that Disney's making more. Write something empty and boring. The whole series is like a cheap remake. Typical today's writers and directors trash. What what about doing another remake? It is boring to see good movies how are turning into low-level products. The first 2 episodes are pulling up the interest. Then it turns into a boring hot pile of The original movies were good and had a good story. Have you seen the second movie lately? Have you? But these episodes are pain to see. The writing is bad, the actors are bad, and the episodes are shorter than the intro and end screens. There is no content in the episodes at the end. Only good thing was the end music. Every other parts are bad. Well, at least you found something that you liked. I'm happy for you. Not worth the spend time for this. Today's writers managed to trash it again. One more here and then we'll go to Rotten Tomatoes. Hated every single second. Must be hard to be you. I thought we were going to get a book-accurate series. I was so excited for this, but to my disappointment, the show itself was a disappointment. Well put. See, I get the diversity thing, but to hell with that, man. You're creating something that is already loved by millions of people. And I'll say this as no one has. Annabeth, spelled wrong, was supposed to be a blonde. You'll say this as no one has. So you think you posting this in 2024, February, mind you. And please do remember that Annabeth's casting was announced mid-2022. You think you, sir, are the first person alive on the internet to point out, to be brave enough to acknowledge that Annabeth was blonde in the books. Yes, you in 2024, after watching the show, years after the casting was announced, yes, actually, you're the only one smart enough to remember Annabeth didn't exactly look like that in the books, did she? So lucky the fandom has your keen eye. Because we spent the last 2 years thinking that Annabeth was perfectly cast according to what she was described physically in the books. Like, man, mind blown. You have killed the character. Yes, you got the hair wrong. Dead. Immediately dead.
Right to jail, right away.
Character assassination. I can't relate anymore. So you're telling me that in Tangled, when you get to the end and Eugene cuts Rapunzel's hair off, you're like, oh, well, we've come so far. Your hair is different. It's shorter, for one. And you're also a brunette. Ew, not in my house. Is that what you're telling me? This is reminding me of that one TikTok of the girl crying over a possible Rapunzel not being white. Like, I understand you loving the original aesthetic. Your life is not going to end because someone is not blonde, okay? I can't relate anymore. I can't get over that. You're blonde, I can't relate. Like, you only relate to characters that have your hair color? What? Because as a blonde, that must be pretty limiting. Karen was supposed to be a white stallion. How can you be this big of a moron? Is that really like that relevant? I'm hoping that if you're complaining this much here, you complained this much when the movie came out, and Chiron was both a brown horse as well, and Annabeth was a brunette as well, right? I'm guessing that also applies to that, right? It's not only because of the show, and it's not only because they're black in the show, right? Zeus is black? What? Yes, Zeus, an eternal being, an omnipotent eternal being who can look like anyone he wants, is black. Trust me, everyone, skip the series and read the books. It will not only give you more details, but will be a better source of entertainment. Honestly, I can't complain about that last sentence because I agree. I think you should do both. Read the books first and then watch the show. Or if you want to have a better show experience, probably watch the show first and then read the books, and then you'll be like, oh, wow, new content. But with that being said, let's say thank you to this person in 2024 that was the first to notice that Annabeth is actually blonde while Leah isn't. And let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm like, oh, it's funny just reading 1-star reviews, but it gets me mad. Some of them, obviously, I agree with because I'm not an idiot. Because I can admit that something I like isn't perfect. And because some people do actually make valid points. But other people are just stupid. Holding on to the nostalgia of a book they read like 10 years ago and can't let go of. Do not, please. No. That does not apply to me and to this channel. But moving on to Rotten Tomatoes, here people liked it way better. It has a 92% from the critics and an 80% from the audience. So that's very, very good. I wonder what the movie has. Oh my god, the movie on Rotten Tomatoes has a 49% now fresh. And a 53% audience score. Whoa. I would have thought the audience score would be higher. Then let's check it on IMDB. 5.9. Ooh, sucks to be them. So it's interesting because people really, really hate on the new show, but it's nice to see that they really, really hate it on the movie as well. Different reasons. Those were very, very valid. So without further ado, let's see what people are saying. Someone gave it 3 stars and said, I went into this a Percy Jackson virgin and found the series better than expected. So you were expecting expecting it to be like really not good at all. I'm pretty sure the dialogue was written by a particularly angsty middle schooler. I couldn't take it seriously no matter how hard I tried. No, it was actually written by a middle-aged man who has taught middle school. So maybe that's the vibe you're getting. This is nothing like the book, angry face emoji. I think you'll find it is a bit like the book. Like, I know things don't happen exactly in the way that they happen in the book, but all the beats are there, all the characters are there. I think, right? They didn't write anyone off. It's not like a mirror image of the books. Like, if the books go like this, then the show goes like this. Am I making sense? They get to the same points, they just do it a little bit differently. Disappointing, especially since this was touted as being a very faithful adaptation. I absolutely love the books, but could barely bring myself to finish watching the show. I actually think it was very watchable. Even though it wasn't perfect, I'm like, this is still entertaining. So I'm confused. How can you make the casino scene so boring? Why is there so much exposition? Both valid points. Why is the CGI so cheap looking? Why are the episodes so short? Again, valid. The fact that this has such a high critical acclaim is mind-boggling. Even the fans wouldn't pretend to like it so much if Rick was not involved. Interesting point. I wonder if you're right. I think I would like it the same amount, but I would be very interested to see what other people think about this. Let me know if you think fans would defend this project as much if Rick's name was not attached to it like the movies were. Show really sucks. I don't understand why they change stupid things that only make it worse and not work as good. Super cheesy overall. I mean, yeah, but I don't mind that. Horrible acting. Well, castings were awful. Nothing like the actual characters, though some of Percy's lines hit on a par tone. Pretty cool. Acting was so bad. Script changes sucked. I hated this show and loved the books. Bad adaptation. Standalone separate from the books. Show was still really bad and cheesy. Had a strong start but quickly became more boring with each episode. There are potential but tons of exposition and the characters always knowing what's gonna happen before it does, as well as great dark lighting are very little humor unlike the book counterpart, made for not so fun to watch. The fight scenes are also cut short and feel low stakes. Hoping it will get better next season. Okay, fair. This is my favorite review. 5 stars, a show for children. That's what I have to keep reminding people. I get the nostalgia. I get that you've read this like 10 times. I get that you read it 10 years ago for the first time and that it holds like very powerful nostalgia. But it is a show for children. And this person just says like, horrible casting, horrible acting, couldn't even make it to the end of episode 2. But 2.5 stars. What? Great show, definitely aimed towards kids. So people are like, we're realizing that this is a kids show. Okay, good, slowly but surely. Too many things cut that are necessary for character development, and if they were added in, it feels like an afterthought. Scenes and transitions were choppy and out of place, that I do agree with. The black screen, I hated it. CGI choices on what to use it on was terrible. Writing is terrible, season 2 better take all these critiques that people are saying, or I will probably not watch more. I hope that they do take what people are saying and that they run with it. Obviously, the first season is the pilot season, so it's never typically going to be the best because it's finding its footing, it's finding its voice, it's finding its identity. So I just hope that it can do that and it can take the criticism from the fandom who know and love the books and it can make something even better for season 2. Wait, not as terrible as the books, but still boring and heartless. What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Can't even imagine someone hating the books and then wanting to watch the show. Not as terrible as the books, like what do you mean? Boring, lackluster, for kids really. At least you understand. So if it's for kids, then it's not for you to rate. I think, that's what I think. Nope, hated it, changed so much in the first 10 minutes, I don't want to imagine how much more they changed. 100% would not recommend. I don't think I would rate a show if I hadn't seen at least the first season, right? I'm sorry, but no, this show sucks. There isn't enough toughness or action. I mean, really? You're gonna have that 4-foot Percy against a tall muscle guy on the beach? That's how it happened in the books. But also this Percy was much taller because I don't know if you've seen Walker lately, but he has been growing nonstop. And the kids don't even look past 14 years of age. That's the point? They are supposed to be young? A demigod of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds, but there's 5 books, so of course he has to start young. He's 12, that's the whole idea of the Percy Jackson books. They're too young to be fighting this war. I'm confused as to why you're confused. And really, Grover gets his promotion with a flower? Wait, Athena doesn't even look like she's hit puberty? Buddy, I think you mean Annabeth, because Athena isn't in this. Of course she doesn't! She's a kid! But, and really, Grover gets his promotion with a flower? How much gettier doesn't Disney need to keep getting? Apparently having a flower is gay, so I'm guessing just everyone in the Demeter cabin is automatically gay. And obviously any nature spirit is as well. Grover is a satyr. His patron god is Pan, god of the wild, of nature. So it's not that weird for his promotion thing to be a flower. What do you want it to be? A rock? A stick? How does that make it gay? And even if it were gay, what's wrong with that? Grover would proudly be one of the many first gay characters in Disney movies. And I say many because there have been many first gay characters. Still have a few bad things in the series, but absolutely better than the movie. That's what I'm saying! The author wants to live off pain tolls with his speech full of demagoguery, seeking approval like a child. He changes concepts, including those of Greek mythology, to show a false representativeness. I'm ashamed to see something like that. He has done so for ages though. And we have to keep in mind that Greek mythology, when it first started, wasn't something that people wrote down. It's something that was of oral tradition. So there's so many different versions of Greek mythology, like there is of like Arthurian legends. Just people decided that they wanted to have something different. So there's like 100 million versions depending on who tells it. Rick Riordan did pick and choose what he wanted, but that's completely fair because there's not one set Greek mythology rulebook. And also he adapted it to the modern world and to what he wanted to do. Obviously he had to adapt it to middle grade literature. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of Greek mythology cannot be shown to a middle grade audience. So he did what he needed to do. And also he added humor. If you want to learn accurate Greek mythology as it was taught in ancient Greece, do not come to a middle grade author for that. This is one of the worst book to TV adaptations I've ever seen. Clearly you have never watched the Artemis Fowl movie, but keep going. Faithful adaptation, my ass. I love that the my ass is also in quotations. So is that the full quote? Faithful adaptation, my ass. This was disappointing. I have been waiting for this series for 12 years and I have no words to describe how much it wasn't like the book. There were some redeemable qualities, but overall it was a nightmare. The characters were written horribly, the CGI wasn't up to par, and there were many scenes that were completely unnecessary. I kept up with it because I was expecting it to get better, but it didn't. They need different writers on the show, writers that respect the characters and how they were originally written in the books. I have no problem with what they look like, get their personalities right. I don't want to cringe and might scream whenever they have something to say. I'm hoping if they do another season, it isn't as terrible as this one, but given the circumstances, it will likely turn out as bad if something doesn't change soon. I'm very confused as why people choose the different star ratings, because then we have a 3-star review that says, not as good as the original movie. Recast by Disney to suit PC sensibilities, and obviously recast because the original cast was 30 years old by that point. So what do you mean recast? Obviously, it was gonna be recast. The acting is wooden and it takes itself too seriously. Read the books instead. But still, 3 out of 5? If I give something 3 out of 5, I enjoyed it at the very least. I think 3 out of 5 is too high for this. Let's end this with a half-star review. I really like the books, not just when I was a kid, but even now. Didn't even know that was a possibility. However, the show was not good at all. It didn't work well as an adaptation because there were lots of changes that didn't really make sense and created a bunch of plot holes. If that's not on brand for Rick Riordan, what is? The characters were nothing like their book counterparts, not just viscerally, but even their character. And the whole vibe was different. The books are fast-paced, action-packed, and funny. It's an easy but fun read that keeps you on your toes the whole time. It teaches you bits and pieces about Greek mythology. The show was rushed, but at the same time extremely slow. There was almost no action and no tension, as the main characters knew about all the dangers beforehand. That is also one of my main issues. Action sequences and them knowing everything. The humor just wasn't there, or at least not in a sufficient quantity. I think the writing and directing of the show was extremely bad. I saw Walker in Adam Project and in some interviews, and he seemed like an ideal choice for Percy. I would agree.
Well, I'm not even gonna attempt that, but I did take 8th grade Spanish, so ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Which literally translates to, I don't bargain. Mother.
Goofy, hyperactive, funny, sassy, but he was nothing like that in the show. I would agree with some of these points because I have seen the kids in interviews and in others' projects, and I think they have great potential to portray their characters to the best of their ability. I think they haven't gotten there yet. They just need the right script and the right acting coach. So that's what I'm hoping is the main change, because even if the action sequence aren't that good, or if the directing isn't great, if the main trio is on point and if their characters are written correctly and they're portraying them correctly, then I couldn't ask for anything else. Like, that's that's what I'll take. That is the hill that I'm willing to die on. Not actually die on, but fight internet trolls on. That I will do. Please leave a like if you liked this video, and comment down below what episode was your favorite, what episode was your least favorite, and do you agree with any of the criticism that we have experienced here tonight? Subscribe if you haven't already, and click that bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. I post videos just like this every single Friday, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!